Shifting focus to a story that we've been seeing since the 24th of February, Russia's invasion into Ukraine.
Russia's response will be tough, and its scale will be proportionate to the level of threats posed against us.
Now, after 8 months of Russia's invasion in Ukraine, the escalation of the conflict doesn't seem to be dying down anytime soon. A series of loud explosions rocked Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, yesterday, in which at least 8 people died and 24 were seriously injured. But that toll is likely to increase. Now, as per Ukrainian media, one of the rockets that hit Kyiv fell on the street where the president's house is located. Now, remember, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has urged the people of Kyiv to stay inside of their homes. Now, Zelensky has also asked people to stay strong amidst Russia's continuous efforts to destabilize and destroy Ukraine. The attack comes a day after Moscow blamed Ukraine for a deadly blast on the strategic bridge linking Crimea to Russia. Now, G7 leaders will meet President Zelensky over the Russian strikes, and the UNGA too has called for an emergency meeting in order to pass a resolution against Russia.
Українці, українки, ранок важкий, маємо справу з терористами, десятки ракет, іранські шахіди. У них 2 мішені – енергооб'єкти по всій нашій державі. Київщина і Хмельниччина, Львів і Дніпро, Вінниця, Франківщина, Запоріжжя, Сумщина, Харківщина, Житомирщина, Кіровоградщина, Південь держави. Вони прагнуть паніки і хаосу, хочуть знищити нашу енергосистему, вони безнадійні. Друга мішень – це люди. Спеціально обрали такий час і такі цілі, щоб завдати якнайбільше шкоди. Але ми, українці, допомагаємо одне одному, віримо в себе, відновлюємо усе зруйновано. Зараз можуть бути тимчасові перебої з електрикою, але ніколи не буде перебоїв з нашою впевненістю у перемозі. Чому саме такі удари? Ворог хоче, щоб ми злякалися, щоб люди побігли, але бігти ми можемо тільки вперед і демонструємо це на полі бою. Так буде і надалі. Працюють зараз рятувальники, працюють наші ППО. Вже на зараз 38 повітряних цілей збито. Сьогодні будьте, будь ласка, в укриттях. Завдяки допомозі наших військових все буде нормально. Завжди дотримуйтесь правил безпеки. Завжди пам'ятайте, Україна була до того, як з'явився цей ворог. Україна буде і після нього. Слава Україні!
Now, our managing editor, Zaka Jacob, spoke to a panel of guests about the missile attacks in Ukraine. Listen in.
Mr. Putin spoke to the television channels a short while back, and he said that this was in retaliation to what happened in Crimea over the weekend. Do you see this as a significant escalation by the Kremlin in this 200-day-long war? And what may the Ukrainian response be? Because as of right now, more than 10 cities, including your capital, Kiev, have been targeted.
Hello. That is one more lie from Putin, some retaliation. He started this war in 2014. In retaliation for what? Then he started full-scale invasion on February 24. And starting from February 24, every day we have missile attacks. Yes, this time they are very massive, but in general, that's nothing new for us. So I can't tell you. I don't know what are the reasons of Putin. Maybe he wants to show some kind that he is capable of to kill civilians. I don't know. The problem of Putin is that he showed that he is not capable to win over Ukrainian army. His army is losing. They are losing ground every day, starting from the end of August. And now I think this was an attack of desperation. He's desperate because he can't change the situation on the military front. He can't win over our army. So he started again, continues again to kill our civilians. Like he's saying we attacked military targets. What is military target? Playground, or university, Kyiv University, or other places. They're completely and for sure not military targets. He just tries, and he made it on Monday morning when people are coming to the work, to inflict as many casualties as possible, to kill as many people as possible, and also to destroy energy infrastructure. So Russia is state terrorist, and Putin is terrorist number one in the world. And he
Mr.
just showed it again.
The Kremlin is saying that this is in response to the blowing up of the bridge in Crimea, the only bridge that connects Crimea to the Russian mainland. Although no group has taken responsibility, the Kremlin firmly believes that this was done by Ukrainian Secret Service agents. In fact, Mr. Putin in his address today said that this was a terrorist act. Do you believe that by bombing the Crimea bridge, you have brought in another front into this war?
What front? We have full-scale invasion from February 24. Don't you know this? He is targeting and hitting our cities, our kindergartens, schools, hospitals.
The Ukrainians are very clearly saying that even in today's attacks, the missile strikes hit civilian targets, including the University of Kiev. And there's this video that's gone viral of a young girl who was filming at the time that these missile attacks happened. How can Russia, how can Vladimir Putin convince the world that civilians are not on his target when the casualties on the ground seem to amply indicate that indeed civilian targets were hit today?
I think they always are. It's one of the mysteries of this particular operation, why after the first wave of attacks, missile attacks in February, the Russians stopped bombing infrastructure targets. They didn't hit the trains, the bridges on the Dnieper. They still haven't. And only Putin can probably explain why the Russians didn't do that, because the American style of warfare is that they would do that on day one. A barrage of cruise missiles is their signature style of warfare. And so the Russian attacks, and I do take the previous speaker's outrage to heart. I mean, Russia launched a war of aggression against Ukraine. You can't say that often enough. But if we're analyzing the course of this war, it is remarkable that they didn't start this thorough bombing of infrastructure until now. And yes, I'm sure civilian targets are being hit, but I'm sure the Russians are trying to knock out Ukraine's electricity grid. Mm-hmm. In fact, President Zelensky said as much, because most Ukrainian trains run on electricity, so that paralyzes the transport network. They will probably go after bridges. They will probably now be going much more aggressively after what you call dual purpose infrastructure, which is what the Crimea bridge was, civilian object, but also used by the military.
Military purposes.
So, a legitimate target, you would say. So I think this is a part of a Russian warfighting strategy.
Shansarin, do you believe, as the Ukrainians, in fact, even Zelensky said this, that this is a sign of desperation? Since the last week of August, Russia has been losing territory, whether it is in Izium, whether it's in Kupiansk, and then, of course, parts of Donetsk as well. Do you believe that this is Putin's way of signaling back that this war is very much in his control and that he intends to take it to its logical conclusion, which, according to the Kremlin, is a Russian victory and nothing less will suffice?
Look, the war is certainly not going Mr. Putin's way. It hasn't gone Mr. Putin's way right from the first week. That much is very clear. Now, the reasons for that are plenty. It is the kind of support that Ukraine has received from the West. It is also linked to how the Russians have fought the war, both at the strategic level as well as, purely in terms of battlefield tactics. And the recent battlefield reverses are very clear.
Now, the ruling BJP has geared up to start their Jan Sankalp Yatra to counter Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra in Karnataka. Now, the Yatra will start off in Raichur village and will be led by Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and former Chief Minister B.S. Yadiyurappa. The BJP is planning to involve 50,000 party workers along with locals in the yatra in order to publicize the Bommai government's decision of increasing the quota for the SC and ST communities in the state. Now, the Jan Sankalp Yatra will continue until the 25th of December. And now for the latest in the Gyanvapi case, the Varanasi District Judge Court is expected to announce a verdict today on a petition filed by a section of the Hindu side seeking carbon dating of the disputed structure that has been cited as a fountain by the Muslim side and as an ancient shivling by the Hindu side. Now, the petition seeking carbon dating was, however, also opposed by some Hindu litigants. They say that the demand is unwarranted and would involve the mishandling of a sacred structure. The Muslim side, however, has opposed the petition, saying that the court first needs to ascertain the Advocate Commissioner's report to decide the exact nature of the place under dispute. And shifting focus once more, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is slated to inaugurate the first phase of the 856 crore rupee Mahakaleshwar temple corridor development project in Madhya Pradesh later today. Now, in a bid to boost tourism in the city of Ujjain, the Prime Minister is on a 3-day visit to Madhya Pradesh and will be officially unveiling the shivling to symbolically mark the opening of the mega corridor. Now, the new corridor measures over 900 meters in length, is dotted with 108 ornate sandstone columns in a row bearing decorative Trishul designs on top and the mudras of Lord Shiv on its faces. The Mahakal Lok development project also includes a midway zone, a park, and this is basically among other amenities. Now, remember, the Ujjain Mahakaleshwar temple is one amongst the 12 Jyotirlings across the country and has pilgrims flocking to worship throughout the year.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's commitment at reviving the ancient religious places of Hindu worship, laying the foundation stone for the Grand Ram Temple in Ayodhya. Now it is the turn of Ujjain and the Mahakal Temple. And if you see, this is the new area of the new grand corridor leading to the Mahakal Temple. Beyond it is the Rudra Sagar Lake, which is decked up with beautiful lights. And at night time, it is a huge, it's an sight that is catches your imagination, all lit up. So this is the entire corridor, which will be the part of the newly developed project, which is being titled as the Grand Corridor for Mahakal Temple. And under the phase 1, it's around 47 acres of land that has been developed. This development includes broad pathways, new amenities for devotees to come here, new parking areas, new restrooms, wide pathways to decongest the devotees, especially during the periods of the Kumbh and the other major festival when this place or when this shrine sees footfalls reaching in above 1.5 crores. हुआ है महाकाल ट्रस्ट में कुछ बता सकते हैं हमारे दर्शकों को किस क्या विकास हुआ है?
आप लोग सभी जानते हैं कि त्रेता युग और द्वापर युग से हमारे महाकाल मंदिर का महात्म्य है। भगवान श्री राम यहाँ पे अपने श्राद्ध कर्म के लिए आए थे, कृष्ण भगवान आए थे जिन्होंने कि यहाँ पूजन अर्चन किया हुआ है, इसका विवरण मिलता है। और वर्तमान संदर्भ में हम ये बोल सकते हैं कि श्री महाकालेश्वर मंदिर पृथ्वी के नाभि स्थल में है, 12 ज्योतिर्लिंग में प्रमुख ज्योतिर्लिंग माना जाता है। श्री महाकालेश्वर मंदिर का एक बहुत बड़ा नई संरचना बनी है, जिसमें कि यहाँ का जो प्रशासन है, मुख्यमंत्री जी हैं और यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री हैं और प्रशासन ने मिलकर एक बहुत बड़ा प्रोजेक्ट बनाया लगभग 800 करोड़ का, जिसका प्रथम चरण पूर्ण हुआ है। जो हमारे श्रद्धालुगण यहाँ आएंगे वो ये देखेंगे कि भगवान शिव के बारे में जाने। देखिए, यदि हमारे पास हजारों वर्ष की विरासत है तो हमारी ये बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेदारी है कि इसको हम हमारी नई पीढ़ी को पास करें।
काशी कॉरिडोर का उद्घाटन प्रधानमंत्री जी ने पिछले साल दिसंबर में किया है कि उसको नई भव्यता दी। उज्जैन अपने आप में बहुत महात्म्य है, भव्य है। मोदी जी के उद्घाटन के बाद इसकी भव्यता और बढ़ेगी, यहाँ पे श्रद्धालु और आएंगे।
अनादिकाल से हमारे यहाँ पे एक ग्रंथ है जो कालिदास ने लिखा हुआ था। उस कालिदास ग्रंथ के अंदर मेघदूतम में ये 24 योजन का मंदिर है। हजारों भक्त यहाँ पे भक्त नृत्य करते थे। वैसी भव्यता इस मंदिर में आज से लाखों साल पहले थी। ये मंदिर हजारों साल से बहुत ही बड़ा विशाल मंदिर था और स्वर्ण शिकायत थी और सब प्रकार की यहाँ पे सुविधाएं थी और ये राजा के रूप में इनको माना जाता है। महाकालेश्वर मंदिर में सबसे प्रथम मंगला आरती होती है, वो सिर्फ पुजारी लोग करते हैं।
Now, ace singer Kailash Kher, who will be singing an anthem especially composed for the inauguration of the corridor, spoke to my colleague Vishal Chitkara about the song and the special gift that he has for the Prime Minister. Listen in.
भारत मध्ये स्वयंभू ज्योतिर्लिंग यजामहे हे पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर शिव शंभु दयामहे.
That was, of course, your new song, Jai Shri Mahakal. This song will be unveiled at the Mahakal corridor by Prime Minister Modi. So what are your plans for the big day, and will you be meeting him as well?
हम अपने आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी की उपस्थिति में ही ये गाना गाएंगे. ऑडियो वीडियो रिलीज होगा और हम साथ में गाते जाएंगे. तो ये अपने आप में एक बड़ा मनोहारी और स्वर्णिम पल होंगे और ये मध्य प्रदेश सरकार और संस्कृति विभाग को श्रेय जाता है, जिन्होंने बहुत ही अथक प्रयास और परिश्रम करके हमारे आदरणीय साधक और तपस्वी प्रधानमंत्री, भारत के तो क्या, मैं तो विश्व के एक ऐसे गहरे नेता कहूंगा उनको, जिसमें पूरे विश्व को उनसे बहुत प्रेरणा मिल रही है. उनके नेतृत्व से ये कुछ ही समझ लीजिए वर्ष में, 1-1.5 वर्ष में ही पूरा जीर्णोद्धार किया महाकाल नगरी उज्जैन का, और उसके बाद महाकाल लोक का लोकार्पण भी तभी करेंगे प्रधानमंत्री जी.
तो कुछ स्पेशल तैयारी की है आपने उनसे मिलने के लिए? इज देयर अ गिफ्ट आर यू प्लानिंग टू टेक?
साहब हमारा गाना सुनते हैं और साहब की मुस्कान ही मेरे लिए उपहार है. देखिए, जीवन तो हमें बहुतों को मिलता है, लेकिन लक्ष्य किसी किसी को मिलता है. परिश्रम करके, बहुत विषमताएं देखकर, कष्ट झेल झेल कर अपने आप को उन्होंने एक तरह से, जैसे एनलाइटनिंग वाली बात होती है, एनलाइटनमेंट होता है जिसको हम अवलोकन बोलते हैं, वो उनके अंदर आया है. यदि मंच पर वो मुस्का भी दिए तो हो गया काम. सबसे बड़ा उपहार है.